Once again, Ciao, tutti. It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube, and today I want to talk about sticking to the theme. I know I want to talk mainly about Asia, but sticking to the theme of football. I know I didn't get around to part 4 of my plans for Torino and that kind of thing last night, but anywho, talking about Italian football, and I thought I'd do a message to Italian football and to Italian football fans, sorry. And in the future, at some point, I hope to do I hope to talk about I hope to ask questions to Italian football fans, sorry, in my usual list form. I thought I'd stick to the usual list form. I was stuck in 2 minds, but I thought it'd be easier, as usual, to do it in my usual list form. So hope you enjoy it, and I guess this is mainly geared towards Italian football fans, but I appreciate all views and that kind of thing. As ever, if you'd be so kind, please do support the content on Facebook and or YouTube. I really appreciate that. And if you like and share the video and that kind of thing. But yeah, just trying to remember much I thought. But yeah, in the future, I hope to do. I don't know if it'll be in June, July, August, or sometime like that. Maybe I hope to talk about questions to Italian football fans. I might leave that till August. I don't know if I try and remember. I should put it in my diary if I was more organised. But to get my thoughts into my diary. Anyway, here goes. These are pointers number 1 to 10 as per usual. So number 1, I'd love to see Italians unite over football. Now this is quite a difficult one because I think because I know that obviously there's different rival teams. I have to mention that there's Roma, Calcio, Inter, and A.S.A.P and whatnot, and they are rivals to each other. So to support each other, obviously they're not going to be able to do that all the time. But when they're playing in Europe, apparently this is officially the worst year for Italian football, probably ever. I feel like a negative omen or something. I hope I'll be proven wrong, but I feel like the Midas touch in reverse. But I think years of neglect and mismanagement and that kind of thing has ruined Italian football so far, and it needs to be resurrected, brought back from the dead and that kind of something. But yeah, as people ask, is Italian football dead or in a coma at the moment? It needs to be resurrected, I guess, to rise again from the ashes like a phoenix or whatever. But I was thinking of, and again, I know I often mention this, but I was thinking when I talk about Italian football, but especially when it comes to the national team, but I was thinking the anthem, the Italian anthem, which talks about how Italy was divided and wants to unite together, and the and Italy's unification day, I think, on 17th March. I think those 2 things hopefully will help Italians unite. And I think the fact now, I suppose, that Italian football has been on a massive decline, I think it needs to be rebuilt, and I hope Italian fans will support each other, even though they're rivals. So even if Inter and A.S.A.P, for instance, I don't know when Inter Milan cap, but even if Inter Milan and A.S.A.P, Roma, Lazio, or whatever, and that kind of thing hate each other when they play against each other, and in the league and that kind of thing, and the cups and that kind of thing, I think that when it comes to playing non-Italian teams and that kind of thing, I think they should support each other. Even Latin teams generally support each other, Mediterranean teams and whatnot. But when they're playing non-Mediterranean teams, but especially Italian teams when they're playing non-Italian teams, with Spain it's a dilemma because they are a Mediterranean nation, but they are the biggest competition along with England anyway. But I was thinking even France, who normally don't do well at club team level, they're doing better than Italy at the moment. Good for them, I suppose, but unfortunate for us. Unfortunately, obviously for us. I was going to say unfortunate, but obviously it is fortunate for them. Lucky for some compared, normally they are one of the bottom of the top teams or whatever. But even they have teams left, and Italy doesn't have any teams left. I'm hoping PSG win, or maybe even Bayern Munich in the Champions League, because there's. I often think what's best for Italian football. If English or Spanish teams win, they'll go even further ahead. So to see Atletico or Arsenal win, heaven forbid, especially the latter. I'm not a big fan of Arsenal, but I prefer it to be Mediterranean team, preferably PSG, or even if it's Bayern Munich, at least it would be like the German league is not hugely great either compared to the EPL, English Premier League, and La Liga. Another thing I was thinking about the national team, which is what I was initially going to say. I'm trying to get the point, sorry, but as usual. But I was thinking that I was thinking about talking about like foreign influence. I wonder if, I suppose you could question their loyalty, but I wonder if Italy should go foreign. And I was thinking about England and how they were struggling in 2001 to qualify for the World Cup. And then Kevin Keegan said, "I'm not big enough for this job," or whatever, was that effect. And Sven Goran Eriksson, who's sadly not with us, but he took over and helped England get all the way to quarterfinals, and they played against probably one of the best teams ever in Brazil's 2002. I was say 2022, but no, sorry, 2002 team. But yeah, so I wonder if having that difference, like the foreign managers and stroke all foreign people running the FA, would work. If not, however, I suppose people might question their loyalty, but again, like England went to foreign managers and probably did a lot better. A lot of England fans say if the English manager is not good enough, you can appoint people from overseas. But again, I think you could question their loyalty. But I definitely think the old dinosaurs, even though I'm a dinosaur myself, being old, but those who are set in their ways that are not working, if something's not working, it perhaps has to be fixed. As the Einstein quote apparently goes, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting different results. So I definitely think that there definitely needs to be change. I think probably all Italian fans with working eyes and ears know that there needs to be change, but it's whether they should go foreign or whether it's Italians themselves who can run it. I think there could be some dinosaurs, older people in suits, but also, I don't know where that saying comes from. I suppose obviously dinosaurs are very old and also stuck in their ways or whatever. I don't know. But as you get older, obviously you do get stuck in your ways, just like I have my habits when I make videos and that kind of thing. But I'm going to move on anyway. But yeah, I'd love to know what Italian fans think about that. And I think there needs to be change. I definitely don't want to see the same old people just being replaced and reshuffled with, or rather, we got rid of Gravina and people like that, but then getting people who are just as bad, just have the same old mentality, and we'll be square one. And we're stuck in the same position for a long time. I'd love to see change, whether that should be from foreigners or Italians themselves. I'd love to see former players get involved, but I know Buffon and Gattuso's left, but part of me would love to see former players, although I know they say the best players don't always make the best coaches, but some of that style from other nations. And on that note, way behind schedule, but point number 2, learning from, I talk about like learning from Spain, England, La Liga, EPL, the Spanish national team, even how England have developed good young players, how France utilises migration for football and things like that, choosing the best players and things like that. I hope Italian football will learn from those sort of things again, maybe having that foreign influence, because at the moment Italian football is not working. I have a bit of a theory. I think even the Italian teams that did well were more attacking a little bit, although they still had that good defence. Why not have good players in all possible places, in all possible positions on the pitch? But the other thing is that I think with the rules being the way they are, the fact that like Italy could score one and then sit back on that lead and defend it for dear life, as they say, or whatever. I wish I had Bally's life, but anyway, talk about another time maybe. But even though they defended so well, as if their honour and all that kind of their life and their honour or whatever depended on it, nowadays you can't really do that because teams have improved. They've found ways to attack, but better and things like get around defensive strategies, but also with the rules that you're sort of not allowed to tackle, not as much as you used to, at least if I take it literally, but as they say, not allowed to tackle nowadays, as Georgie Best said in an interview, obviously a long time ago, that you're not allowed to tackle nowadays. Obviously take it literally, you can, but not like they used to. So I think that favours more attacking teams, and even the structure like getting 3 points for a win, and the fact that you have to score at some point, whether that's on penalties in tournament football, means it favours more attacking teams. And I think all the teams that become more attacking, even when Italy won in '82, the year I was born, it was more attacking. In 2006, when Italy won, it was more attacking. and teams like Argentina, Brazil, and even Germany, Spain, France, and teams like that have had more attacking players when they've won. So defence is important, but I think they also needs to be more of an attacking strategy, maybe also a faster paced strategy. Although Spain, maybe not necessarily that fast, but passing and moving and all that kind of thing, they keep the ball moving, and learning from those teams to actually win things, and maybe copying and pasting what they do, as I said before. Point number three, I think that getting, I'd love to fundraise and get sponsors to sponsor, invest into and sponsor the infrastructure. If I could fundraise, I'd give every Italian a free football, every Italian citizen, and for Italian football fans. Although they have to prove their Italian football fans and that, but each Italian citizen anyway to get a free football, and I suppose more than that, I guess having the places where they can play, so spaces and places for sports. In this case, soccer, if you like, using the alliteration. I'm thinking football Fridays as well. Having those places where they can play, places and spaces for playing and practicing their football as much as possible. I'd love for companies like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and many others to sponsor football pitches across Italy and places where they can play. Again, places and spaces for playing and practicing footy. Number four. Places and spaces for playing and practicing I think are really important, and I'd love to see those opportunities and for Italians to get playing football more. Something that really worries me that people talk about recently is like so many Italians play like basketball, baseball, tennis, and other sports, and I would love to see like how Italy has a history in football, to use that to motivate people to get back into playing football, a sport which Italy used to be, I wouldn't say necessarily dominate at some points even dominated at, but certainly did really well at, and get back to those glory days. But as someone who's only into football, really not really into those other sports that much, I think basketball's okay. I think tennis is pretty fast and pretty cool. Although I'm probably too fat to play now, but yeah, football is the main one for me, and I'd love to get back to those glory days. Another one I talk about, and I try not to repeat too many things I said in the past, as usual, but as I normally try not to. But I was thinking that I know I mentioned like companies being discouraged to invest in wars and the weapons trade, and instead to invest in Italian football and Celtic. I think that's one of the main things, getting Italians to play football, especially at a young age. But the other thing is, I think even when they are playing football, like someone mentioned that, a sort of whistleblower, if you like, mentioned that it's a horrible system where people with more money can pay to get into the teams. And I think there needs to be more young people who are from poorer backgrounds, like they have in Brazil, for instance, who like only have football, and something that could make them more hungry for football. There's a point I was just thinking about completely. Oh yeah, normally I think I talk about football, Italian football, in January and also March, because it's Italy's unification day on the 17th of March, and I suppose June I think is Italy's National Day on the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. National Day / Republic Day and that kind of thing I think it is. But I was thinking April is quite fitting in a way, because even though I don't think of Italian football specifically for April, I think of like at the moment it's like Easter, resurrected, and all that kind of thing. So lovely. Don't know if I should have said that. I don't want that to come across as religious or anything, but symbolically, I think like a phoenix rising from the ashes, Italian football needs to be revived. But moving on that note, number 5, I'd say I was going to say important before, but best I moved on, because I did try and keep the video short and sweet, and as usual I failed to do that. But I would love to see. I wonder whether Italy should have more, as I say, more foreign influence, and how could they be encouraged to be loyal, like we had people from Spain, France, or elsewhere. And I suppose sometimes even just copying and pasting what they do and think like, what do they do in training? What could we do? As some people say, success leaves clues, but I wonder how much foreign influence and how much Italian influence there should be. But surely players like Zola and Roberto Baggio and people like that should know more. But I was thinking, especially the 2006 team that won the World Cup, that actually won it, and any members, if there were any people left from '82 that won the World Cup, or those involved in it, like what lessons could they carry on from there to provide this current Italian team and look into the future as well. Some say we might replace Iran in the World Cup, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But even that, we might still go for a playoff, and it could be best. It could be best if we wait for 2030 and just really go in all on that. Play younger players till 2030, so they're ready for 2030, and maybe any distraction from that is a distraction basically. Again, I think more younger players. I actually forgot to finish my point as usual, but as often happens. But I was thinking many of the players when they are developed, or even if Italy develops good young players, by the time they get older, they don't get picked for the senior teams, and I think that's really detrimental to the development of youth and the future and that kind of thing. Number 6, as I say, I love for Italians to come together for football and bring back those glory days. Hashtag please make Italian football great again. And for the national team to work with the league, all those involved in Italian football. I know I talked about that before. Again, I'm not sure repeat myself too much, but I really hope somehow these ideas are implemented. I'd love to know from Italian fans, and I suppose I mentioned how I'd love to ask questions to Italian fans, and I suppose I'm going to ask a question here, which is, in this case, it's a bit different because I'm having a general message, but how do you think new ideas could be implemented? How do you think Italian football could become more flexible? I meant to say earlier, flexible. Being flexible, I meant to say in point number 3. But yeah, how could Italian football learn to be more flexible and make those changes and think like the ways it's working now? Well, it's basically not working at the moment. Even last night, really bad for Italian football, Bologna and Fiorentina both losing quite badly. So national team and club teams, how can it improve? And I think, again, learning from La Liga, how they develop players, especially Barcelona. I think Juventus should, especially, and Italian football generally, should look at what Barcelona did. And again, if the national team works with the league, they can say, how do we have at least 3 under-21 players, for instance, and things like that. I think that would be really helpful. Number 7, I'd love for, again, I often talk about Italy having a partnership with Celtic and training with them, but also going all around the world and practicing, especially Italian school children and younger people, having opportunities to travel to different countries and practice with people from different backgrounds. I'd love for my Eurasians, as I say, to play, as I often say. So I hope to find a way to put that into practice. Again, I'd love to know any tips on how to put those ideas into practice. Number 8, again, I love for Italians to fall in love with football again and play as much as possible and just keep practicing and playing and learning from other nations and incorporating that style. And again, putting it into action. Maybe Roberto Baggio should be the head of the FIGC, and even if people vote, I think maybe the fans should vote. Maybe that's another thing, the fans of Italian football should vote on who should be the people running it, who should manage it, who should be the people running it, and things like that. So again, the old dinosaurs are not there anymore. Number 9, I'd love to see Italy prioritising football. I often joke about saying, part jokingly say, I'd ban all other sports. I also say I'd ban weddings and stuff like that. But as a libertarian, I won't really ban them, but I would love to see Italy play more football. If Italy lost all the other sports and only won football, I'd be quite happy with that. The main thing is Italy winning World Cup and Italian teams winning Champions Leagues, Europa Leagues, Conference Leagues, World Club Cups, Super Cups and things like that. That's a level I'd love to see Italian football at. And number 10, again, youth development, I think is so important, and I'd love to know from Italian football fans. Again, I'm hoping to ask questions in the future. Maybe in August, my birth month, but because I was thinking Italy's National Day, which again I think is on the 2nd of June, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know if I'm going to cover a different topic on that day, so see how it goes. But maybe if I have some space in my diary, if I can actually get around to my diary, and I have no other plans for a certain time, that's a potential topic to talk about, questions to ask Italian football fans. So yeah, how do we develop the youth and get more younger people involved in running it, but especially in playing, and give more opportunities for the youth and new ideas, I guess, which I hope to come to in parts 2, 3 and 4, all being well. And also Um, I suppose we do need some people in suits, as I say, like some dinosaurs, some people in suits, some older people. But I think they should be balanced. But um, I guess they could be more for like how to fundraise for example, like business people could talk about how the town football can acquire more funding for places and spaces for younger people to practice. But once again, I think younger people need to be given those opportunities to actually get into the senior games and have more game time. And on that note, I'm out.